I will now hand it over to Robin to share a little bit about what they've been doing at Tabitha. Robin, go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm certainly thrilled to share a little bit about who Tabitha is, and also some of the ideas and things that we've implemented in the last couple of months, because we are just in a different time that has forced us to think a little bit differently and get a little creative. So bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And can you see that? Okay, perfect. So I wanted just to give you a little bit of who Tabitha is. Tabitha's purpose is to empower people to live joyfully and age gratefully. We have a strong culture made up of about 1,000 dedicated team members who make a difference in lives daily. We are the largest nonprofit employer founded and based in Lincoln since 1886, and today we serve across 29 Nebraska counties. As a nonprofit, Tabitha exists to really step into the gaps of our community, and we have a long history of ensuring that seniors have access to the services that they need and deserve. So really, as you think about serving seniors, they truly do need our help. For the first time in Lancaster County history, the number of residents over the age of 75 will surpass that of children 5 years and younger in the next few years. And then by the year 2015, 1 in every 10 residents will be over age 75. So we're really trying to think and anticipate and grow Tabitha as we're anticipating needing to serve those individuals. And like I said, we absolutely are in a different time today, and really needing to think and be creative in how we are hiring. What we have done in the last couple of months, just knowing that there are individuals in Lincoln looking for work, and us as well needing help, we did implement a new position called a personal care attendant. And really that is a position that does not require certification or licensure. It really was opportunity to find individuals that maybe had been displaced from the restaurant or other industries that were looking for work. And so it was really a kind of a gap to really serve and help our clinical staff to help serve meals. A lot of our seniors were dining, not in the dining rooms as a group any longer. And so we needed additional help to help serve those meals and provide connection with family members. We've had a lot of, again, creative ideas to connect families, whether that's through a Facebook portal, FaceTime, all of that takes additional time and consideration on top of the clinical services that we provide. And so really these PCAs stepped in and really have been filling the gap for us. And really for us, getting individuals into Tabitha is key for us. A lot of people look at Tabitha and think, oh, it's the nursing home on the hill. And so if we can get individuals into our doors, it really gives us an opportunity to share who we are and what we're all about. And if you are a good culture fit, you typically do fall in love with what we do every day. And it's just been a neat opportunity. We've hired, like I said, individuals from restaurants. We've hired a handful of LPS substitutes. And it's just been a really good fit in this PCA role. And as far as training, really nothing required to come into this position. We've provided all of that training. Typically, it's been a 4-hour course with our clinical educators, really learning a little bit about patient care, adult abuse and neglect, just some insights in regards to our industry. And then it's out spending time with preceptors and maybe other PCAs on the floor and really just hit the ground running and jump in. The other thing that we have just rolled out is a new program. It is a CNA sponsorship. And so what we were really trying to aim for was, again, those individuals who have thought about healthcare as a career, but really maybe didn't know how to initiate that first step. And so this is in partnership with Southeast Community College. I'm really trying to help remove some of those barriers, typically being financial. And so if somebody was interested in taking a CNA course, we wanted to provide opportunity in that financial assistance to help get that started. And so that process does look You kind of see that on my screen, but it is a selection process. We really upfront want individuals to be a strong culture fit, to have compassion and care for the seniors that we serve every day. And so there is a decent selection process. Upon that selection, we are then sitting down with the individual, helping them get enrolled in classes. There's some paperwork to sign, and then we are having them do a 4-hour job shadow with one of our preceptors, a CNA currently in that role, and really just wanting to give that opportunity to individuals to have an understanding of what this job looks like, and really have them have that experience going into that class at SEC, and then hopefully they are successful, get their name on the state registry, and then at that time we would hire them here at Tabitha to be a team member. That loan forgiveness, that money that we had put up front would start to be forgiven. If they were in a 6-month period, if they were in a full-time position, that loan forgiveness would happen over a 6-month time period. A part-time position, that would be fully forgiven after 9 months. So we're super excited about the opportunity, and really providing just an outreach of kind of connecting the dots and really trying to kind of fill our needs, our workforce. This is probably our biggest gap, is that CNA role. It's an opportunity to launch into healthcare, whether that be an LPN and RN down the road. This is really that first step to really think about a career in healthcare. So with that, those probably are my highlights here at Tabitha, who we are and kind of how we've handled the pandemic. We've done a lot of hiring. I would say since Q1, over 207 individuals we've continued to hire here at Tabitha. 26 of those have been in those temporary PCA positions. So we're continuing to look for individuals that are a good fit for what we do every day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Robin. That was really, really insightful. Next, we will have Dana Nielsen from Spreetail. Dana, I will hand it on up to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaylee. Hopefully you can see my screen. Perfect. I want to make sure I kept up with Robin. We use a lot of Microsoft Teams, so a little new to Zoom here. But thanks for having me. I'm Dana Nielsen. As Kaylee said, I'm with Spreetail as the talent brand manager. And so like Robin with hiring a lot, that is what we have been up to since really the pandemic has started. So a lot of figuring out how to scale Spreetail. If you haven't heard of Spreetail, we are an e-commerce company that started here in Lincoln. In 2006, we were working on selling products on eBay. And as e-commerce has grown and evolved, we've added a lot more marketplaces that we partner with. So right now we partner with just over 15 marketplaces where we sell products across all these different platforms and help them advertise, of course, to lots of different customers. And so really, I thought this quote was probably a great way to kick off kind of what e-commerce has been like the past 6 months. And so COVID-19 has helped accelerate e-commerce growth 4 to 6 years. So of course, we weren't predicting that growth. We didn't know there was a pandemic coming, but thankfully, we are part of helping customers stay safe, being able to shop at home with store closures and still get the products they need. And so in May alone, online spending was up 77% year over year, hitting over $82 billion. So really crazy to see the growth in e-commerce. Good news for Spreetail, but it's kept us pretty busy. And so since March 31st, which was our first virtual onboarding class, we have been working from home. And since then, we've hired 169 people that have gone through onboarding. So that's included interns, seasonal, part-time, full-time members. And then we also had 34 interns participate in our summer internship program. So out of those numbers, besides that, we had 247 seasonal hires. So that's between fulfillment centers that are spread out throughout the country. We have 6 in the US. Our marketplace team, and then customer experience teams. So obviously with all that growth, we had to get kind of creative on the employee experience, including events like drive-in movies. We had our event in Omaha last week, and then this Saturday here in Lincoln. We've done virtual wine tastings with the mill, and then this picture is from our ice cream delivery. And so really trying to figure out with all these team members, over 300 that have started, how do we make them feel embedded and invested, even though we're working kind of at home separately. So that's been a big focus for our employee experience team. And so to hire all these people, we've had to redo some of our sourcing strategies as well. And so we're still competing with growth of e-commerce companies. I think that's important to remember. While we've witnessed some of the growth, so have Amazon, Walmart, Target. So that's who we're competing with for a lot of our talent. And so fulfillment center managers, we've actually had to go and look hiring straight from the military. A lot of them have a logistics background. So we've been successful in transitioning them into an e-commerce fulfillment center role, or hiring straight from retail, not necessarily e-commerce experience. And so I'd say the other fun kind of scrappiness our recruiting team has taken on is early in COVID, when we saw a lot of the hospitality industry impacted, our team was calling restaurants, bars, hotels, trying to figure out which ones had closed so that we could hire seasonal workers, whether in our fulfillment centers. Our customer experience team actually took on a lot of interns that had internships impacted from companies that were no longer able to keep their summer internship program. So we actually kind of had a lot of different areas where we hadn't necessarily sourced before, where we had to reach out on social media, on Facebook, and kind of talk to people that may not always be on LinkedIn. Then I'd say there were positions that we definitely had to find targeted experience for, where we jumped onto LinkedIn to see who we could find through Boolean search strings. And so there's a really good one. If anyone's interested, I can send it to you afterwards. It doesn't copy and paste well on this lovely slide, but just figuring out which search terms that you can use on LinkedIn, if they're seeking or in search of, actively pursuing. It's a really long string that you can search on LinkedIn without even having a recruiter seat to find who is actually looking for jobs and have stated that in their profile. And you can use that beyond the open to work hashtag that you'll see on LinkedIn. And when you're posting, I think it's important to remember that hashtag now hiring is going to actually link your company to the here's who's hiring right now article on LinkedIn. So whether it's you as a company or teammates that are posting about open roles within your company, just utilizing the hashtag now hiring can get you a ton more views on anything you post and hopefully convert to applicants. And I talked a lot yesterday with our technology recruiter, and he's really been utilizing spreadsheets for companies that have been impacted by layoffs. And so a lot of companies are trying to be proactive in helping their former employees find their next career. And we comb through those spreadsheets all the time to try to figure out what kind of backgrounds they have, what kind of skill sets, and then help them be aware of the opportunities we have at Spreetail. This week alone, we have about 75 job postings open. And so continuing to try to find the right people for those in those spreadsheets has been really helpful. Another thing, I'd say revamping referrals. Most of us probably have known someone that's been impacted by layoffs, unfortunately, right now. And so what we did is refresh a lot of our prices, that we have a tiered referral program approach. And then we added a donation option, which hopefully Brian will be happy about, so that at every level of you getting a referral, you can choose which nonprofit you would like Spreetail to donate to. And then consistent communication. So Wednesday morning meetings, we're doing a lot more presentations regarding, hey, this is the process on how to submit your referral. This is what it looks like to gain, hopefully, a trip to Hawaii if you hit that 4 referral mark. And so really driving that consistent communication right now on our needs for the hiring front. And then team members, we're encouraging them to be more active on social platforms. I think we're seeing that across the board. And then hiring managers are even getting more engaged on LinkedIn. I've had a lot of accounting managers, our controllers this week, going and trying to do their own sourcing and finding their networks that usually consist of other accountants that are awesome. And they usually have had previous experiences and know those people that have been impacted from former companies. I think one great example is Sojourn, of course, has been impacted being in the travel industry. We've had a lot of their skill set transition into what we need. They've done a lot of advertising across platforms, and now we've seen a great fit for people to jump on and help us advertise our products on Facebook, Google, etc. So really cool to see some of our former employees that worked at Sojourn are really referring, their currently impacted Sojourn employees. That's been awesome. And then we're also encouraging new hires to share their networks. So those 300 people that started in the first couple of weeks, we're asking them, who else do you know? How can you help us fill pipelines and get people, their next career? And then adding a place on every application for an applicant to put, who do they know at Spreetail? Who helped refer them to this job, so we can reward them with those prizes and ultimately their trip to Hawaii. But there's always challenges right now that come with hiring so many. Outside of Lincoln, we have to relocate people here to Nebraska. And I'd say that's our biggest challenge right now, is we have roles that are requiring e-commerce experience. There aren't a lot of companies in the Midwest, unfortunately, that are in e-commerce or have those skill sets. And so I'd say that's the biggest challenge right now, is our entire interview process is virtual. So they're unable to experience Nebraska like they used to be when we had those on-site interviews, where we would tour them around the town, they would see our office space, get comfortable with the area. So now we are still providing those paid visits, but there's a lot of COVID-19 travel restrictions that we have to go through. So first, figuring out, are there any current state or national quarantine rules? If yes, they can't come here. If Lincoln's on a higher severe risk on the city of Lincoln COVID-19 dial, we can't approve them coming here. Same with Omaha. If it's a hot zone, we can't have them travel here. And then additionally, we have to do a lot of research where the candidate's coming from. And if they're in a hot spot or their county has more than 40 cases per 100,000 people, we can't approve them coming here. So sometimes our interview processes are drawn out. And that's unfortunate, because we know we're competing, as a lot of these people are actively looking for their next career. And then other than that, we're competing with an increase in remote opportunities. We will be working from home at this point till January 5th, but our goal is to keep growing our Lincoln and our Omaha offices. And so now we see an additional increase in companies that we're competing with that are moving more towards that entire remote workforce, where now we find a lot of candidates are preferring that model. So it's something we're continuously evaluating as we get closer and closer to January, to what that option is going to be like for our employees to work from home or have a flex schedule. So onboarding, I don't want to talk about hiring without glorifying the team that handles all of these new people starting, because they're amazing. They narrowed down our onboarding to 4 days of virtual sessions. And so, like I said, 169 people thus far have gone through those sessions, and we start 2 classes every month. They really have had to evolve a lot of these sessions that were 90 minutes and felt normal in person to have a 90-minute lecture. Now they're much shorter, so a 30-minute presentation with a focus on engaging and interactiveness for our new hires. And so they focus on participant interaction every 7 minutes. So that way they're having a great experience when they get onboarded, because we do not want to have to turn over these people and find new people, with everyone kind of looking right now for their next career. And then the one thing we need to focus more on too is that relationship building. And so we always gather surveys from our Spreetail employees that have gone through onboarding. Before COVID and before work from home, there was a 4.77 ranking into they felt they've developed relationships with other Spreetail employees. We've seen that drop to a 4.04. And so now what can we do to make these people feel invested when they're sitting in an office much like mine, at home, alone, and not really getting to meet their coworkers face to face? And so we developed a new buddy program that's going to give them a resource within their department to answer questions, introduce them to people, a lot of our virtual events, and just encourage them to kind of really get engulfed within our own culture while starting, so that we can retain these people even past the pandemic. So huge shout out to that team, who has also recognized that Spreetail Spark was a need. So beyond that first week of onboarding, it doesn't stop there. And so within their first 90 days, every team member goes through a personal and professional development series called Spreetail Spark. And so it's just an opportunity for them to also meet more people within the company that are newer, and how to really get bought into their new role. So I'm excited. We continuously revamped that, as it was supposed to be an in-person kind of getaway for 3 days. And now obviously it's happening virtual. So great job on talent development team to adjust everything to virtual for the time being. So I know Kaylee said we're saving questions till the end. This is my email that you can, of course, reach out to me, but I'm happy to answer your questions after Brian presents. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dana. Next, we have Erica Suzek, I believe is how I pronounce that. I apologize if I messed that up. from the Department of Labor. She will be talking to us about AnyWorks tools and resources that you can use to access and connect with the unemployed. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me a moment here and we'll get it started.
Perfect, thank you. We just want to start off with one of the videos that's really, it's only a 2-minute thing, but it really kind of helps highlight, kind of touch on a whole lot of the different things that we can do within AnyWorks. So bear with us for about 2 minutes.
Erica, I don't think we hear the audio on our end.
Kaylee.
I apologize. That is my fault. Give me 1 second here.
Kaylee's trying to silence the state of Nebraska. I feel like this is like some censorship or something happening right now.
You are the one that I would like the record to state that was Brian Seck that said that.
We'll be sure to address that at our next LPED.
That'll be in the minutes.
All right, I believe we have it now. I apologize. I didn't share it correctly.
That's all right.
Or possibly explore a new career. The Nebraska Welcome to the AnyRes orientation. Today we're going to give you some information and tools to help you re-enter the workforce, advance in the workforce, find a new job, or possibly explore a new career. The Nebraska Department of Labor has many tools and resources available to help you with your job search. We're going to give you an introduction on how to use these tools and also suggest tips on being organized and prepared. So let's get started. You're looking for a job, but where do you look? There are thousands of options, and it can be overwhelming to track all of the job postings and opportunities. Through labor market information, you can search by area, occupation, industry, or education. If you are looking for a job, you can select your area and your occupation. AnyWorks is the largest online job board in the state of Nebraska and pulls in jobs from monster.com, employer websites, government websites, and education websites. At the AnyWorks website, you only need to register once to see jobs posted on multiple sites. It's a great one-stop shop. The site also provides tools for resumes, cover letters, job searches, labor market information, researching employers, and skills assessments. On the AnyWorks site, you will be able to build a resume, conduct a job search, and set up a virtual recruiter that can alert you to information about job openings on AnyWorks. You can set it up to run on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. The results can be sent to your personal email, or you can have them sent to your message center in AnyWorks. The virtual recruiter can be customized to provide you with critical information at any time. All the tools and resources on the AnyWorks website are designed to help you find your next job. We will give you an introduction to some of those tools, but we encourage you to take some time to explore the AnyWorks website on your own.
All right, so one of the things that we always want to start off and highlight is on the next screen that Nebraska gives veterans and their family a priority of service. So no matter where they are at in the state, there is a team designed to be able to help them, whether it's somebody who's working with the businesses to find those openings to give veterans a leg up, or somebody to actually sit down and work one-on-one with those resumes. And no matter what the issue is with a veteran, if they've got some kind of a hurdle that they need to try to overcome, we've got a team ready to embrace them and kind of help put them in a fast lane, a pass lane, if you will. We want to really make sure that we're highlighting that because we don't want them to feel like they're getting lost in the shuffle. We do have a great team ready to help them. I think the Lincoln team's fantastic, but the teams all across the state are pretty good too. So on the next screen, a lot of the things that AnyWorks can do. AnyWorks, obviously, we need both the job seekers and the businesses to be able to make it work. So the first part of this, we like to be able to focus on the job seeker part of it. Myself as the business services rep, I work more on the business side, but I absolutely can do either one of them. For those who are job seeking, these are just some of the tips that we always like to point out to them. When you get in and you're doing that resume, make sure that you're titling it correctly. You know, Spreetail, Tabitha, whoever, Kawasaki, whoever, they're not looking for a Bob and they're not looking for an Anna. They're looking for CNAs. They're looking for customer service. They're looking for that e-commerce. So really make sure that in any type of job search website that you're using, if they're giving you the option to make sure that the title is what it is you're looking for, not what your name is, because your search engines can't necessarily find it that way. I see people absolutely every day that happens too. So if that's going to be my absolute number one biggest recommendation to people, it would be that. Within AnyWorks, we have this really great opportunity where you can have up to 5 resumes and 5 different virtual recruiters. So with your resume, let's say you are just coming out of that restaurant industry and you don't really want to go back to it, but you may be customer service. So you can create those different resumes to help throw that net out farther. So whether it be you title it that you're looking for food service, or that next resume you've tweaked it just a little bit and you can highlight that customer service, or maybe you did some welding before you ended up in that and you're willing to go pick that up. You can really get in there and only have to go into one spot, but you can have those different resumes out there. The same thing with the virtual recruiter. That is an opportunity for you to go in and use the app, use it on your phone, and you can set it up. You can say, I want to make $100,000 and I want to do it in this zip code and I want it to be along a bus route. And if that job ever pops up and it exists, it's going to show up on the phone and it's going to say, hey, here's the job, here's how you can apply. But it's really, you can set up those different ones. You can have that sunshine and rainbows job that everybody wants and see as soon as it pops up, it'll give it to you. But you can also have that, here's my absolute, what I'm willing to look for. But if you're needing to have, if there's some kind of an exclusion, if you're somebody who has to use the bus and you need that job to be along a bus route, that virtual recruiter you can set up and you can really use it as your advantage to help search. So even when you're not online, it's still out there and it's still data mining for you to help bring those opportunities to you, just to make your job searching time more, hopefully more fruitful. Also, when you're looking at your resume overall, and this goes for anything, make sure you're always putting that resume into a Word document, even if it looks fine, even if all the spell checks on that pops up, put it into a Word document, walk away from it and come back to it and then read it out loud. You'd be amazed at how many grammar mistakes you can catch, how many of those little words that, you know, yeah, they passed the spell check, but that's not actually how that should have sounded. Because people who read resumes on a daily basis, that is a glaring mistake to them. And if you just put down that you pay attention to detail, that's one of those that's going to say, you didn't. So make sure that your resume is highlighting the best part of you, and just take a few extra minutes to make sure that you've got all the polish on it that you need. We move on to the next slide. With some of your resume tips, that just a few more when we're looking at how to make sure that that's polished correctly. Look at that job description. That business spent a lot of time creating that job description to best describe how that job is going to work. And if you have those talents, make sure that you have picked up on those keywords and make sure that your resume highlights that, and make sure that it is just screaming, blaring lights off the page that you are absolutely that right pick. Each resume is going to look a little bit different. Obviously, a customer service job at company A and a customer service job at company B is going to be pretty similar, but they're going to have different needs. So make sure each is detailed a little bit more to it. The two websites that we use in conjunction with AnyWorks to make sure that we get some of the best resumes we possibly can is ONET Online and JobScan. ONET Online is a federally based website that gives you all of these great, perfectly crafted statements of job skills that can help really define both a job description and also help to define a resume. The other really big positive, if you are looking at hiring a veteran and they haven't been able to translate their military skills into civilian skills, you can actually go in on the bottom of that page and it will help you translate to be able to see. Yep, we can go back to that in just a couple seconds. There we go. Did you got it? And we can go forward. Anyways, as she's taking that, we want to, sorry, with the military people, there we go. It really helps get you with that translatable skills because sometimes military jargon and civilian jargon don't always jive, and we really don't ever want anybody to lose an opportunity just because it wasn't translated correctly. And again, always, when you do that resume, make sure that you have, if you don't have somebody else to read it for you, save it, walk away, come back, reread it, and reread it out loud. You don't have to put a voice to it, but if you're actually mouthing the words and saying it out loud, you're going to be able to catch a lot of those little things, and you're going to be able to continue to put your best foot forward. And these are just our biggest overall things that we say to people all day, every day. Our office deals with the people who are filing for unemployment. So we do the follow-up piece to it. We are talking to them. We're making sure they're turning in resumes. If they are looking for something, if we want to know if they want to know a certain industry that's hiring, our goal is to try to help make sure that we're connecting them to that. But we have just kind of figured out that if we could share these tips with absolutely everybody, obviously we could go on all day with all the different things that we do. We would, but these are absolutely our biggest. If you didn't do anything else, kind of a snapshot. Now, when we move on to the last slide, and we're looking at the employer side of things, my job, again, is the business services representative. I represent Lancaster and Saunders County. So it is my job to help all businesses in this area with whatever business needs you might need. So with that in mind, AnyWorks to all employers and to all job seekers, it's free. It's always free. There's a learning curve attached to it. That's why you have business services reps to be able to help you with that stuff. Again, I represent this region. However, no matter where you're viewing from, there is a business services rep in any one of those regions. If you are not sure of who your contact is in that area, I will be more than happy to help connect you to that person. There's at least 2 of them up in Omaha, and then there's about another 7 throughout the state. So, and we are all ready and more than willing to happy and help you and try to get everything moving forward that we can. Oh, yes, good point. Yeah, everybody who is receiving unemployment does actually have to have an AnyWorks account. And they have to go through and do some job searches. So you kind of have a captive audience of people who are currently job seeking. But we also want to make sure that it's not just for people who are using unemployment, anybody who is doing a job search, that is something that AnyWorks can use for you. Maybe you had been filing for unemployment 5 years later, you can come back. That information's still going to be there, and you can pick it up and update it and still do some job searches. Now, as a business, you can go in and you can post jobs, you can come in, you can pick them back up, you can make some changes to them. You can have the website will send you people who they think will work. You can get on it and you can do your own research on it to see if you can find the people that you're looking for. If you have questions with getting those job postings done, that's our job. That's to sit down and to help you, whether it be walking you through over the phone. Some people are just send me the how-to guides. We'll be more than happy to do that. Or you've got somebody new that you're bringing in to train. We are more than happy to help you and to get you trained to get them moving along. But one of the other really, really big pieces of the business services rep job is to make sure that we are connected to all of those service providers. We know where those hidden talent pools are at. We know where the grants that are available. We want to make sure that we have connected you to everybody that we possibly can. If we know where a job fair is going to be held, which in Lincoln is September 10th, I'd be more than happy to help you get connected to that one. Or maybe we've got a whole bunch of people that are just about ready to finish up and need some work experience through some of the different service providers. We'd be more than happy to give you those clues and help you out. And finally, no matter where you're at, there's an American Job Center in your area here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's at the Southeast Community College building in downtown. And it is a great place. They have different sized rooms where you can come in, you can do your interviews. Maybe you're an out-of-town employer who's coming in, who's moving into the area. You don't have an office space yet. The American Job Center is going to be a great opportunity for you. Maybe you want to come in and you just want to do a couple-hour job fair and see who's going to come in, some kind of a hiring event. Maybe you want to come in and do multiple presentations about the business. The American Job Center absolutely has the room available to you and would love to help you with that. They are also more than willing to help set up different virtual career fairs. They have a lot of opportunities and are huge in trying to get you connected to the job seekers. But any of the other information, we'd be more than happy to help get you connected.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Erica. That was very insightful. Brian, we will have you share next. I will share my screen yet once again. Give me one moment. All right, Brian.
All right, thanks everyone. Good to see you virtually, at least. I am responding to Jennifer from General Excavating. Hi, Jennifer. With contact information for the American Job Center. And I believe Andy Holes is on this Zoom. So if you check out the chat, the contact information for the American Job Center is on there. Andy Holes is what's called the one-stop operator, which is a fancy term for an unfancy man. So what Andy does is he makes sure that all the different workforce partners, which include places like vocational rehabilitation, Jordan Hoff, I see you, the Veterans Administration, all the different agencies that work on workforce, Andy helps make sure that we're all coordinated. So his contact information is there. So if you would like to have a hiring event at the American Job Center, maybe drop off some job flyers, anything like that, Andy is your man. And then any works that Erica talked about is the state website for jobs and unemployment insurance. So let's imagine that Dana Nielsen gets laid off. That would never happen from Spreetail because she's a rock star. The first thing that would happen is that she would be notified about any works. And that's the portal that she uses for information about receiving her compensation, but also where she can do her job applications. And Erica talked about this, but one really nice thing about AnyWorks is that if Dana looks for jobs on AnyWorks, like she has to for unemployment insurance, that automatically connects to her system requirements. If she applies for a job on ZipRecruiter.com, there's extra work that she has to do to make sure that that job application is counted towards her benefits. So it is in all of our best interests as employers to ensure that our jobs are posted on AnyWorks to make sure that everyone is able to access them and that it automatically counts towards their rules that they have to follow. So when we think about that 29,000 people who've been, 30,000 people now, who've experienced unemployment, either furlough or layoff since March 21st, about 10,000 of those, 10,000 folks are what are called continuing claims. So these are people who are continuing to receive benefits as of the end of last week, which is the latest and greatest information that I have from Erica's team. So 10,000 folks are available out there who were previously working on March 21st. So it's a good thing to keep in all of our brains that these are not folks who are long-term unemployed or experiencing other difficulties. These are people who were working as of March 21st, 10,000 people. Erica talked about AnyWork, so I won't go over that anymore. The social media part, I think, all of us talk about social media. It's almost like a verb these days, like to social media. But just to reinforce that, a lot of the folks that I've worked with over the years, and many of you know that I used to be homeless outreach and I used to do a lot of work with low-income families, a lot of these folks are working, but these are not necessarily folks that have laptops always. These are folks that have phones. So when we're thinking about how do we reach people who have been affected by layoffs, I really think about how do you reach people on their phone. So then I think about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all the other things that are available. Thinking about your job seeker is more on their phone than they are on their laptop. Next thing that I think about is Employ LNK. Employ LNK is our coalition of workforce agencies. If you send an email to Erica anytime with job information, we will share that with over 900 nonprofit and human service providers in our community. So think about Friendship Home, think about Veterans Affairs, think about anybody else who works with a human seeking a job, we will get it to them. So Jennifer from General Excavating, she sends us openings, Brian Health and others. Please just shoot that email to Erica anytime and we send out that email blast 2 times a week to our agencies. Some of the other folks talked about this just briefly, but really thinking about your job descriptions, really trying to craft those for someone who might not be in your industry. So JC Stiles from Bison Inc., which is a manufacturing company, I see you on this call. If we're thinking about how can JC recruit someone with no previous manufacturing experience, but has a great solid work history in hospitality or restaurants, I think about using skill sets, things like problem solving, adaptable, willing to work nights, things like that. Really using language that a person who previously was a bartender, server, things like that, can say, oh, that's cool, well, I can do that, and they'll teach me the rest. So really thinking about how can we cut out some of the industry jargon and really make sure that it's super clear to someone who's ready, willing, and able to work, but might be intimidated by a manufacturing setting simply because they've never done it before. Marguerite Himmelberg from Southeast Community College and Sarah Murtaugh, I see her on this call. It sounds like it's been extended, but today was the deadline to apply for the Southeast Community College Workforce Readiness Initiative scholarships. But also you can work, employers can work with Marguerite and her team to do customized training, similar to what Robin set up with the Sue Hill CNA sponsorship. So if you heard Robin speak and you were like, dang, I want to do something like that. How come Robin got to and I don't get to? You totes can. So if you reach out to Marguerite, her email is in the chat. Also, we'll follow up with her contact information to everyone on this webinar. Everyone else gets charged $5 payable to the Brian Seck New Father Fund. I just had my first daughter on Friday. It's very exciting. Miriam is doing wonderful, so please send your $5. Every little bit helps for future college. Marguerite's contact information is on here, so either for the workforce training. And then also what we're thinking about as Employ LNK are those bottom 3 pieces here, which are really just helping the people who were already working get back to work. So when I think about manufacturing, construction, healthcare, customer service, Dana has a 24/7 customer service team right here in Lincoln. We want to get folks who have previous experience in industries that aren't hiring and get them into yours. So with that, I will kick it back to Kaylee. And again, we will, all this contact information, everything else that's sitting in that chat right now, we'll make sure that gets out to everyone. So if you don't get it, or if you click out of here, you're like, dang, where'd that go? Brian was giving me pure gold. You'll get your gold back. It's not like leprechaun gold. It's like real gold.
Thank you, Brian. And yes, congratulations on your first daughter. All right, now I will go ahead and open up for questions. Feel free to use the chat box or the question function to ask questions.
And remember, if you don't ask questions, I used to be a teacher for 7 years. I will call on you because I know almost everyone on this call, so be forewarned.
Okay, are there any tools available on any works to limit the amount or to limit the quantity of unqualified applicants?
To limit the quantity of unqualified applicants, yes, to an extent. You can go in and you can pick how many applicants you want to be able to apply to that job. And once that is reached, then you can shut it down. So you want 20 people for one job because it's a really specialized job, or you've got 100 because it's a entry-level position, whatever, you can. We can't stop people from applying to a job, but it will give you a breakout on the side as to how much that they line up. There's a lot of different little tricks and tips that we can give both the employer and also the job seeker to help really magnify how much of those keywords match up, how much of those job skills lined up that you had already put into it. So if you put more time and effort into creating that job description, which again, as soon as it's in there, then it's just a matter of tweaking it and moving forward, then that can really help filter some of those out. Yes.
I think that also kind of helps answer the next question. What can you do to help get true job seekers on any works and not just those who are attempting to fulfill the requirement for unemployment benefits?
Again, a lot of that is, like I said, if you can put some more of the details into the job description that you're looking for, those job seekers who are genuinely interested in job seeking are also going to take the time to put those key highlights into their resume. And so if you get a bigger match on those, again, it'll pop up over on the side. And if they've got all the different badges and all the other stuff to show you that they are a genuinely interested applicant, is going to be a lot more helpful than it has been in previous years.
Thank you. This next question is for Dana and Robin. What can we do as a workforce to better prepare folks to transition to new types of jobs? For example, we know the restaurant industry has been hit very hard by the pandemic. I'd assume many of these folks would come with great customer service skills, but may not have specific experience in healthcare or e-commerce. So how can we prepare them in a manner that gives them a better shot at landing an interview or standing out?
I think Dylan hit it square on the head. It's really that customer service link. Really, I think it aligns nicely with healthcare. And so I think as folks are preparing to apply and interview, it's really highlighting those skills because those are absolutely transferable in healthcare, and trying to create those opportunities to create positions that can launch them and into a career here at healthcare. I think that's what will make them stand apart, is that excellent customer service.
Hopefully you can hear me. My AirPods died. Yes, I agree with what Robin said. As far as I was just looking on LinkedIn today, and one of our new hires had posted that they were really excited after going to school for hospitality and an HRTM major. They had utilized that background for the first 2 years of their career. And so after that, we're feeling a little stuck, right, as far as where to go. Well, she just joined our team as a listing quality specialist, so not necessarily on our customer experience team, but more on our copywriting team. And so I think just being open to explore different opportunities and not feeling like you need to bucket yourself into this is what my major is, this is what I need to keep pursuing. Because like Robin said, those skill sets are transferable. So just being able to talk through examples of how they have, impacted customers in hospitality and how that can translate to this new role. It's really just tying what the job description is saying into some of their experiences and how to match them in the middle. So there's a ton of roles that we have that we don't require e-commerce background, and it's not just customer experience either.
Another question in the question box. Do you utilize scored questions with job postings?
Not exactly. One of the best ways that a lot of our employers, and it's kind of also a follow-up to the earlier questions, a lot of our employers have found some great success in helping filter a lot of those qualified, non-qualified candidates. Is you can go through and you create your job description, you're getting people to look at it, but if you put on there that you want them to go through and apply on your website, which most companies, as soon as they turn in that any works, they want you to go and apply on their website anyways, which is a frustration. It's a frustration on both sides. Now, those job seekers have went and filled all this stuff out. Now they're getting driven over to your website. So we try to help guide the employers that if you put that in there, put it big, put it bold in there, say, for more information, or you want them to apply and they go directly to your website to apply. That right there helps satisfy their job search requirements, and also to be able to contact you. But you actually also know then those who are genuinely interested, because they're going to come to your website and they're going to fill all of that out, which then will help with your established filters, because not every company is going to have the same filters. Obviously, everybody's going to have some different requirements for their job. So it's kind of a really good middleman to be able to help filter through to find those who are really interested, while also helping the job seekers as a free point of contact for employers.